Welcome to EvoBizDevo with Isis Latham, your host, your hub for personal and professional growth since 2018. At EvoBizDevo, we bring together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers to spark ideas, share knowledge, and grow together. Stick with us as we explore fresh ways to expand networks, build resources, and create lasting impact. Let's get started. Well, welcome to Evolution Business Development. I'm your host, Isis Latham. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to Tricia Breckenridge. Tricia is the owner and really founder, actually, of At 3 to Thrive Wellness. She is inspirational. She informs and she empowers her clients to pilot their own healthy daily habits. She facilitates a weekly mindfulness meditation with her coworkers and writes a weekly wellness blog at 3tothrivewellness.com. Prior to founding her coaching and wellness practice, Trish worked for 30 years as an occupational therapist, where she focused on teaching people the tools for independence in their daily activities. She also developed a passion for wellness strategies to prevent and limit the effects of chronic disease. During a hiatus from the medical field, she earned her master's degree in school counseling and worked with high school students at Keene High School, teaching the skills teens need for a happy, successful life. A few of the ways Trish seeks to nourish mind, body, and spirit to optimize her own health and inspire others. She enjoys connection at church, spending time in nature with her husband and dog, and powerlifting. Now, that was new to me. I do know, though, that muscle building is really important because otherwise we start losing our bone density. So was that what caused you to start the powerlifting, or was that a lifelong goal that you
No, it's relatively recently. It's the power. This kind of goes to show the power of support. So I had been running, and that's part of my story. Not very well and not very fast. And I started working out with my husband at the gym, and I had a trainer that said, your body is perfect for powerlifting. And just that one bit of encouragement, I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to be good at something. And that's just what I knew to kind of inspire me. And then I went to a powerlifting meet and saw a bunch of women in their middle age, and they had a team, and they were doing it. And I said, well, they're doing it. I might as well try it too. So yeah, it was a fun, a little bit different, but very empowering. There's something about being under the bar that's really empowering.
Wow, interesting. And what are some of your goals around powerlifting?
I haven't been focused on it recently. Right now, I'm going to a local gym that's more about group classes. So we do some strength training. I had done a couple meets. And so to really focus on it, you really have to, that's the one thing you're doing. So right now, I'm really enjoying the community at the gym I go to. They're just classes. And we work out together, and it's with a trainer. And so that's what's keeping me inspired right now physically, is just having that community around me. And so no specific powerlifting goals, just to keep strong and keep the body working and enjoy the community around it.
And you mentioned that you're actually at your pastor's office right now.
Mhm.
And do you have a lot of involvement in your church? Is that something that you think fuels your greatness these days?
That's how I know Amanda, actually. Um, to me, it kind of comes back to the community. I've been a practicing Christian my whole life, but when I moved to Keene, I kind of looked for a place where I could feel that community, and I actually started at this church working with a youth group. And my theory was, well, if a teenager can like church, then it must be a pretty cool place to be. So, that was 20 years ago. I started working with a youth group, and my whole family's in Buffalo, New York. So the church has become my local family. So yes, always been involved with this church as long as I've been in Keene. And they're my second family.
That's wonderful. It's so great
But
when people find their community.
yeah.
So you've had this long career in really helping others. you work in your day-to-day life as an occupational therapist. Am I correct?
Yes, yes,
All
still
right.
working full time as an OT.
And you're doing that still. What's the drive to move from a corporate job to your own independent business?
Yeah. Well, I have two stories. One is a personal story and one is more of my professional experience. So, um, personally, about 12 years ago, I was running, like I said, this is before I started powerlifting. And I was training for a half marathon and I experienced chest pain. Like, this is strange. Kind of freaked me out a bit. And then from there, kind of went on to extreme fatigue and joint issues, and kind of panic attacks. And my doctor was great. He sent me to every single specialist. So I spent about a year and a half going to cardiology and pulmonology and everybody to try to figure out what was going on. And they kind of came down to going back to the nurse practitioner, and she said, "Well, you know, your problem is you need to lose weight, de-stress, and exercise." She said it's all about your hormones and your GI system. So there you go. I felt so dismissed, so frustrated that after a year and a half, there was no answers. There's no way out of it. So I decided to go to a nurse practitioner. And the best thing she did was just listen. She listened to my whole story. She was able to kind of make connections. She was supportive. And so it turned out to be Lyme disease. So with a few treatment plans, but also just her accountability and her kind of breaking down the each action to start making healthier changes in my lifestyle, I was back to running a half marathon with 6 months
Wow.
after meeting with her. So that kind of gave me the personal frustration in the healthcare system to say, okay, something's not right here. Um, and then just working in, I can't badmouth. I mean, that's my livelihood right now is working in the healthcare system. OT I love because it really focuses on independence and teaching people the tools to reach what they can do independently. But our system is just set up for treating the symptoms. And so now I'm middle-aged and I'm seeing, all these people with diabetes and heart disease, and nobody's kind of teaching people what to do before they get to that point. And I really just feel strongly that I want to get to people earlier so they can start making the changes. And they've shown that all those diseases, even dementia, you can change the trajectory of your health if you start in your 40s. You start 2 decades before you even start showing symptoms, you can actually make a huge difference in your longevity. And I just don't feel like that message is really being shared with people. So I just feel very passionate that we need to get to people to just help them break down those changes. I feel like we always come from a place of poor health with shame and blame and say, well, you didn't eat right.
Mhm.
Instead of the other side of, self-compassion and, okay, here's some everyday things you can do to start changing the trajectory of your health. And just what I love to share with clients when I can. But kind of back to your question of why am I doing this as a business? Right now, our system is just not set up to promote the prevention piece.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a place where I really can use my gifts and my experience and help people through that.
And that you're doing the work yourself. It
Mhm.
seems as though when you look at a lot of the healthcare providers, they are on the front lines.
Mhm.
They're often some of the most unhealthy people I meet. And
Yes.
I think it becomes challenging to take advice from somebody that you're looking at and going, I don't know that you're in a better spot than me.
Mhm.
And so I do think that we're looking for people who will show, not just tell.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned about this unrelenting pursuit.
Mm.
Describe that more to us. What you mean by that?
Yeah. I think it started maybe about 10 years ago, even before the Lyme's disease. I just felt like there was something missing. And I've always kind of been in a growth mindset. I've always been curious about it, exploring and learning and just kind of open to what I'm good at as far as and what the world needs. And this idea of helping people through making healthy wellness choices just will not let me go. Um, and it's always been like, oh, well, next year when this happens, then I'll start doing this work or next year. And like you said, I've been trying to live it, and trying to help those, family and friends, but just the idea of making this my pursuit just won't let me go. So I just keep taking one small step forward, towards the business as well as towards my own health, and helping other people learn just one step forward before the next, and then we'll get there.
You're in a really unique phase of your business right now, and I think it's one that a lot of people can relate to, where you're still working your day job. You're building your, not to diminish, but your hustle on the side.
Yes, yes.
And you want it to be more. You have this unrelenting pursuit of the vision that you have. Share with us a day in the life, or maybe it takes a week in the life of Tricia or a month in the life to be able to fit in all of these things. Because so many people have the desire, but they don't know how to manifest it. They don't know how to create time and allow for all the actions that are so important to be able to achieve this. And I don't know that we necessarily get balance, but we can find a way to put all of the things that matter into our life, because otherwise, what exactly are we doing this
Right.
all for? So share with us your strategy to be able to fit it all in, and what those things are.
Yeah, and one thing I'll mention later too is, community and kind of using your supports around you. So if I do a day in the life on Monday mornings, I start the day at 7:30 and I run with a friend of mine. She had lost her husband and she wanted to get together more often. And I said, well, instead of going for a drink, can we start running together? So every Monday we run together with her dog. And so I get a kind of a jolt of early morning daylight, which I think is hugely important. I get friendship, and I get that piece of exercise in. I don't still love running, but I do it because I feel like it's good for me. Um, and then my day job is 8 to 4-ish, but I do work for home care, so I'm lucky enough that it's a little bit more flexible. I can kind of schedule patients as long as I get everybody in in a timely manner. So but it is nice because during my work day, I can listen to podcasts if, in between clients. I can take a walk if I have a break, so trying to do those things throughout the day for my own stress level. Doing some deep breathing in between clients, or what I'm not good at is taking a lunch break. So, but taking a walk when I can, just being out in the day really helps. So I'm very fortunate with the type of job that I have. And then after work, as I said, I do belong to a gym where I do more of the strength training, and I love the community there. I always feel better when I'm leaving. So we do stretching, which is important to kind of work into, and it's an hour class, so it doesn't take forever. Then it's trying to cook a healthy meal as best I can. I'm more the cook than my husband is, although we just got a fryer and he's kind of obsessed with doing the healthy meats in the fryer. So trying to eat healthy is definitely a challenge sometimes, but do try to cook as much as we can for ourselves. And then in the evening, it has been a challenge to kind of, so in the evening, it's writing the blog, or doing some email outreach, or reading some of my nonfiction books about health and wellness. Although my husband will point out, he's like, I know you're doing that for your job, but you did it anyway. So it's what interests me anyway. So do try to stay off the screens in the evening, as much as I can, to get a good night's sleep. Definitely, I know, and I say all this, and I don't have kids. I do have a husband and a dog, and I know when you have families, that definitely, is a challenge. But trying to work the kids into those healthy habits is helpful too. But I do try to read a little bit before bed, and try as much to stay off the screens right before bed and try to get a good night's sleep. So
And
that's my day.
where are you putting in the business building activities? How are you managing that? Because there's the marketing, there's
Hmm.
the networking, there's the CEO has to wear their hat and the chief financial officer has to wear theirs. How do you pepper that in, or do you schedule it? Are you being more reactive and responsive when it comes up?
That's why it's such a slow burn of getting the business started. It is tricky, and I ideally would love to reduce my hours, but don't feel like I can reduce my hours until I get more business. But then how do I have time to grow the business? So just really slow goals. Um, I've been this next few weeks, my goal is to do more speaking outreach. So right now it's sending emails, it's you know, doing the elevator speech, or when people say, "Oh, what's new?" I can say, "Well, this is what's new." So trying to kind of incorporate it in my day. So yes, but that is a challenge
Yeah.
and it's not my strength either. So I mean, I love writing the blogs, I love the personal interactions, but certainly marketing is not my strength. So yeah, that'll have to come.
Maybe we know the first thing you'll be outsourcing when you have
Yes,
the
right.
means to do
Yeah,
so.
yes.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for walking us through that. Is there anything that you would like to share more specifically around what you're doing with a client, how that looks like? Who is your client and how do they utilize you? Is it on retainer? Is it a one-time fix me kind of relationship?
Mhm.
Describe that to us.
Sure. So my ideal client is, probably somebody in the middle age. Certainly my biggest thing is people have to be ready to change, and that's not said lightly, because some people are in their lives where they just don't have the energy, to make changes. My approach is definitely to try to break down those changes into small, simple steps, so it's not so overwhelming. So right now, this is what I have in mind, and this is what I've worked on so far, but I'm open to, seeing what ends up manifesting. But so I'm going to be doing a couple workshops, so focused on just general wellness suggestions, or hormones, or burnout, and then kind of walking people through some simple steps they can do, and use it as a interactive workshop so people can use that community, to help build accountability. Then there's one-on-one coaching, which, on my website, I have a 21-day challenge, thinking that, new habits start with at least 3 weeks of practice. So if somebody wanted to work on one specific aspect, like I had one woman who we kind of narrowed it down where she wanted to reduce sugar. So that was essentially the one thing she was working on for 3 weeks, but that really does expand into, okay, I'm giving up added sugar, so I'm not having those cupcakes. So what do I eat instead? Well, why am I eating the cupcakes? It's because I'm stressed. So what can we do for stress management? So even though we're focusing on one thing for 3 weeks, one habit, you can really learn a lot about, how everything works together with that one habit. So there's the 21-day challenge. Then there's the 3 and 6 months, um, version of working with me one-on-one. So knowing that lasting change really requires, slow, steady progress, that one step at a time, that you need that amount of time. I think we're so conditioned to say, "Oh, I tried a diet for a week and it didn't work." but really you need that long term. If you could think for a year from now, where would you like to be? A year from now, would you like to run a marathon, or would you like to um, be strong enough to carry your groceries or open a jar? What is that kind of backing? So that's what I do, is try to back up and help people really break down those visions of what wellness is, into small, simple steps to work towards it. And then finally, I have done a small group with three women who are in their 50s that are feeling the hormonal changes of premenopause and really wanted to change habits. And that was magical because they were really supportive to each other. They didn't know each other ahead of time. And they really kind of was kind of like a half support group, half information and part workshop. So that was lovely to do that. And again, just informing people, but I feel like people have the information for the most part. It's just helping people break that down into those small steps and then offer that accountability to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I'm writing down the words information, breakdown, implementation, and then accountability, because without an implementation, it will never change.
Yeah.
What would be a great way for somebody who's thinking, I'd really like to be in your community. I'd like to read your blogs. I'd like to maybe attend a workshop. I'm not necessarily ready to do one-on-one, right? Because what I think you're saying is that people need to be ready for that or it won't work. How do they get into the world of Tricia Breckenridge?
Yeah. I mean, I think just a contact information for starters. I will chat with somebody for 20 minutes and try to help kind of sort out which is the best next step. I will be offering some workshops in the community. Actually, I'm planning one at my church for January that anybody is welcome, and that one's free. So that's kind of an introduction. Certainly the blogs are free. On my website, you can sign up to the newsletter. And then they come right to eventually I'm going to be doing Substack, I think, but for right now, I just use old-fashioned email list. And anybody who wants to be on the email list, it's just 3tothrivewellness.com. So, or sorry, at gmail.com. So, there's no ads or anything that people have to worry about. Yeah, so either call me, sign up on the website, or send an email, and then try to help figure out what would be the next best step.
And if they are ready to dive right in, excuse me, they know that they're ready to make that change. They know what their goal is. How might they approach that? What would be the first step?
Yeah, again, just contacting me directly, and then we'll decide if it's going to be the 21-day challenge, the 3-month, or the 6-month to get going. And then we'll just decide whether it's going to be a video or obviously it's in Keene. It can definitely be in person, but anybody can always be on Zoom or Office. So we'll just find the next time to meet.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Well, for those that are listening to the recording, we encourage you and invite you to come to Evolution Business Development to hear more great speakers like Tricia. And one of the great benefits of being here in person on Zoom is that you get to be a part of the mastermind. And so, Trish, we're super excited to start our mastermind with you, and looking forward to that very much. And for all of you in the EvoBizDevo land, looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Want to be our next featured speaker? Click the link in the description to register, and let's stay connected. Follow me on all those social media platforms for financial tips to help you make your money work smarter while you build financial stability. Stay tuned for more, and see you in the next one.